My Lords, we recently had a statement in the other place by the Secretary of State on bus franchising, and my understanding is that this instrument gives effect to that statement, at least its initial parts. When we debated that statement in your Lordship's House, I recall I had the temerity to describe it as being essentially a bogus offer. I gave two reasons for that, but I've now found a third, which is that it doesn't actually allow local authorities to go in for bus franchising at all. All it does is allow them to apply to the Secretary of State for permission to prepare a plan for doing so. But nothing is said, and nothing has been said by the noble Lord the Minister, about what criteria are going to be applied when such plans are submitted. And I think in order to understand the implications of this instrument, we need to understand that. Nothing has been said by the noble Lord the Minister about how many applications he expects or his department expects to receive. Nothing has been said by the noble Lord the Minister about what proportion of such applications he considers it likely that the department is going to grant. It's perfectly possible that the answers to all these questions is zero under this instrument, and that bus franchising will be no further forward as a result of this very grand announcement that was made with great hoopla in the other place. It will be no further forward as a result of this instrument than it is today. And I think we really would like to know some of these, the answers to some of these questions in practical and not simply theoretical and legislative terms. If I may return to the two reasons I did give when we debated the instrument in your Lordship's House. The first one is that the policy comes with no money attached to it. Now, at the time, the Chancellor had not made her budget statement. She since has. So it should be open to the noble Lord the Minister to say how much money has been allocated to supporting local authorities to undertake franchising, because the whole purpose of franchising is to generate services which the market won't bear. Nobody denies that there is a cost to local authorities in undertaking franchising, a cost that they are most unlikely to be able to support from their own resources. So what money is the department, or is the government in general, putting behind this greatly trumpeted policy? But my second reason, my second cause for complaint in that earlier debate was already been referred to, in fact, by the noble Baroness Lady Randerson, and that is the complete lack of capacity of local authorities, certainly outside the metropolitan areas, to put together and run a bus service as an integrated operation. There is more to this than simply saying we'd like the buses to run here. Even if you've actually got the experience of route planning, which involves thinking about demand and locations of passengers and so forth, and their relationship to places of work and hospitals and other appropriate destinations, all that route planning is a skill. It just doesn't come together to a committee of local councillors sitting round a table. Even if you've got the route planning, you then have to think. We've seen this in Manchester. You have to think about branding. You have to think about fares and ticketing. You have to think about what you're going to accept by way of tender. Are you accepting cash, or is it cashless only? You have to know what sort of discounts you're willing to offer, what sort of season tickets and so forth. As the noble Lord knows, and I have had the privilege in the past of observing in the various positions that he and I have occupied, there is real skill real skill required to do this well. The answer we've had from the noble Lord so far is the mildly amusing one, is that the Department for Transport is going to set itself up as a centre of expertise in how to plan routes and do branding and fares and ticketing for bus companies and bus services throughout the country. Now, I fully acknowledge that there is at least one person in the Department for Transport who probably has the skill to do that, and that is the noble Lord the Minister himself. But he's going to be jolly busy doing all of these jobs together, being both a minister and planning the routes for sort of modest settlements and hamlets in the remoter counties of England. But if it's not going to be the noble Lord the Minister, who is going to be recruited to do this skilled work in the Department for Transport? And are they going to be recruited on an ad hoc basis, a sort of consultancy basis, waiting speculatively for applications to arrive which may or may not meet criteria that haven't so far been vouchsafed to us and may then be rejected or accepted by the Secretary of State? How is this wonderful offer of skill inside the Department for Transport and expertise actually going to be achieved in practice? I think the noble Lord should not be allowed to leave this grand committee without explaining those things to us in some detail. Finally, I'll come to a point which was new to me because it only struck me yesterday evening when I went to the reception given by the Accessible Transport Commission and found myself speaking to the chief executive of a bus company that operates as a private bus company, a commercial operation, in a large provincial city. I won't say which. And he described to me all the good work they were doing to make their fleet more accessible to people with disabilities. We even talked about something that was new to me and I'm interested to explore. Dementia-friendly flooring, for example. He described to me the close relationship he had working with the local authority, and then he looked me straight in the eye and he said, "You're going to confiscate my business." That took me aback because I hadn't thought about it in those terms. But in practice, that is what franchising will do. It is effectively the confiscation of a business. Of course, he may still secure the franchise, but then he would simply be somebody operating services for somebody else for a fee. He would no longer be running a business. He would be simply somebody else's agent in doing that. And this confiscation, you take the nationalisation of the train operating companies that is happening. There is, I have to say to the noble Lord the Minister, an increasing whiff of Bolshevism about this government's transport policy, and as we know, that didn't end well.